Good evening folks, welcome back to Celtic Fans TV. It's time for the starting 11 prediction for tomorrow's trip to the San Siro to face AC Milan. This is going to be another short and snappy one. Number one, because it's my birthday, that's why the water's been replaced by beer. And number two, the club's an absolute shambles right now. That was why I was quite downbeat on Saturday's build up to the Ross County game. Little did I know just how bad Sunday would turn out to be, both on the pitch and off it. Since then, there's been so much noise from the club, from the supporters. It's a shambles. I think that the whole messaging for the club has been a disgrace. I think they're treating the fans with utter contempt at the minute. And you see again today that we'll come to the messaging for Neil Lennon's press conference. It just seems like just when you think it can't get any worse, it does. It does get much worse. Before we get to that and the team for tomorrow, I have to tell you about our sponsors, OneFootball. The OneFootball app has everything you need at the touch of a button. You can get line-up notifications as soon as the team's announced on game days. You can get goal alerts from any game across the world. You name a game from a league and you'll find it there on the OneFootball app. You can keep up to date with league tables, although I'm sure you don't want to look at the Scottish Premiership right now. Top goal scorers, top assist makers, you name it, you will find it all there on the OneFootball app. You can download it by clicking the link in the description of this video. It's a brilliant way for you to support the channel if you watch all the time and you want to help us out. A great way to do that is to click the link in the description and download the OneFootball app. So obviously after the game on Sunday, we had the protest at Celtic Park. I think everybody's seen the videos and stuff. A few people maybe overstepped the mark, but I think it's been blown out of all proportion, as it usually is. And the Celtic board are now using it as a stick to beat the supporters with, to beat the entire support with. I'm astounded. Just when you think you've seen it all for the Celtic board, they find a way to still surprise me. I don't know how. They've treated the fans with an incredible contempt in the past few days. The messaging for the club has been a disgrace. The statement that Peter Lawwell put out yesterday is about 4 weeks too late. It's so out of touch, it's untrue. I think you could see that with the responses on Twitter and any other social media platform to it. The club are so out of touch. They talk about our concerns being heard, they're not being heard, they are being ignored. They talk about doing things that are only in the best interest, everything's done in the best interests of the club, and they're not being complacent. Don't take the piss. Like, we're not idiots. We can see what's happening here. Dermot Desmond putting out messages. Again, we sound bites to people in the media that the yobs, as he called them, will only harden his resolve to keep Neil Lennon. That's not doing what's in the best interests of the club. That is cutting your nose off to spite your face. That's using Sunday's protest to spite the supporters. That's not what's in the best interest of Celtic. And we've reached utterly laughable conclusions and solutions now. What Neil Lennon's saying, I think if we'd had as many wins as we had positive Zoom calls in the past 2-3 weeks, we'd be in a lot better situation and maybe there wouldn't have been any protests at the weekend. Neil Lennon's talking about putting a lounge area in the training ground. Dermot Desmond, again, after Ferencváros, said it was a psychology issue, so there's been a psychologist there for 3 or 4 months now. They are doing everything to swerve the issue and it is becoming laughable. At the end of the day, this is Neil Lennon says today, we've had a bad month. This is not a bad month. He said the board don't sack managers for the sake of it. The supporters, the overwhelming majority of supporters, don't want Neil Lennon sacked for the sake of it. They want Neil Lennon sacked because we're going through the worst run of home form since 1958, because we've had 2 wins in 10 games, because we're out of Europe, because we're out of the League Cup, to a Ross County team that hadn't won since September. We're playing woefully bad, and at the end of the day, they can talk about putting lounges in the training ground, they can talk about psychologists, and they can try and deflect for the main issue as much as they want, but at the end of the day, the players are not responding to the manager anymore, and that means the manager has to be replaced. And they might be keeping him, they might be standing by him. It might be till Friday, it might be till after the Scottish Cup final, it might be to the end of the season, who knows. But the reality is, it is not getting better, it's getting worse. We've had 3 or 4 weeks now of players coming out and telling us we need a big performance for the manager, we need to react for the manager. Very little said about the supporters, by the way, who haven't been able to attend a game all season. Very little said about them. But this is it. we need to give the manager performance, we need to do this, we need to do that. For 3 or 4 weeks we've had none of it. It's getting worse. It is getting worse and worse and worse. The players are not responding to the manager, and all this lies, and that's what it is. It's lies, it's pure propaganda, that the atmosphere is good, that everybody's united, that the coaching staff, the players, there's nothing wrong, they're all together. It doesn't show in the park, and we're well by the stage now where words don't matter anymore. The only thing that matters is action, the only thing that matters is results, what we can see on the pitch every Thursday, every Sunday, and it's so far from good enough, it's untrue. So Neil Lennon may well be staying, I don't know how long for, but at the end of the day, he still has to go. I don't see how any manager can turn this sort of situation around. As I say, it's not getting better. There are no signs of it getting better. The only signs are that it's getting worse. So, like Saturday, I'm not going to dwell on personnel, who should play over who, because we're well by that mattering. I said that on Saturday, and Sunday proved it. We went back to 3-5-2, we had Edouard and Ajeti on the pitch. The players are not responding to the manager so much now that it doesn't matter what 11 are on the park. The performances are the same, the defending's the same, the mistakes are the same, the body language is the same, and the end result is the same, as I said already. So I'm just going to run through what I think the team will be. It'll be Barkas in goals. I think we're going to have to play a 3-5-2 again, because El Yunusi apparently hasn't travelled. I don't know what's happened to him. So because of the lack of options to play in an advanced left-hand side role, I think we have to go to a 3-5-2. I think it's going to be a back three of El Ahmed, Julian and Ayer, Laxalt left wing back, Frimpong right wing back, and midfield Brown, McGregor, Christie in front of them, and Rogic up top playing just off of Odsonne Edouard. As I say, who knows what the team will be. The evidence that we're seeing right now is that it doesn't matter what the team is. The performances are the same and the malaise is still the same. That's why I'm not dwelling or labouring who's playing in what position, who's playing where, who should play ahead of who, because, see, to be honest, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter right now. We will be, as ever, supporting the team, supporting the 11 men on the park, whoever they are, because they're wearing green and white, and that is what we do. This resistance to the board and how they're treating the supporters right now has to be maintained. We will continue to support the team because that's what we do as Celtic supporters, but the resistance to the way the board is treating the supporters right now has to be maintained, and until we see any prolonged period of evidence that Neil Lennon can turn this round, we have to maintain the agitation for a change of manager, because that is the only way that I can see out of this, and it's now the only way that a lot of other Celtic supporters can see out of this. Like the video, comment your own thoughts below. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. We'll be back tomorrow with live full-time reaction straight after the game, here from the home of full-time reaction on Celtic Fans TV. Cheers.